In the golden, sun-drenched summer of 2002, the global entertainment landscape was shaken by an announcement that would forever alter the definition of a modern celebrity family. Angelina Jolie, then known as Hollywood's ultimate wild child, and a newly appointed United Nations Goodwill Ambassador, introduced the world to a 7-month-old orphan from Cambodia. At the time, cynical tabloids viewed it as a passing headline, a momentary impulse of an eccentric movie star. But history would prove them entirely wrong. That single, profound moment did far more than just transform the destiny of one vulnerable child. It laid the foundational stone for the global phenomenon known as Brangelina, establishing a diverse, multicultural family that would dominate headlines for the next 2 decades as Hollywood royalty. Today, more than 20 years after that fateful adoption, that fragile infant has evolved into a remarkably mature, independent, and fiercely private young man. By consciously stepping away from the blinding camera flashes of the red carpet, and quietly weathering the catastrophic storm of his parents' highly publicized, bitter divorce, Maddox Jolie-Pitt has successfully built a meaningful life entirely on his own terms. This is the expansive, untold story of his remarkable evolution. From a forgotten orphan in Southeast Asia to an intellectual scholar and filmmaker, successfully carving out a unique identity far outside the massive, often suffocating shadow of his famous parents. To truly understand the weight of Maddox's journey, one must travel back to the very beginning, long before he was known to millions of people around the globe. He was born in August 2001 in a rural province of Cambodia, originally given the birth name Rath Vibol. The Cambodia of the early 2000s was a country still deeply scarred by the haunting remnants of the Khmer Rouge regime, struggling with severe socio-economic disparity, widespread poverty, and a lack of medical infrastructure. It was an environment where impoverished families were routinely forced to make heartbreaking, unimaginable choices just to survive. Consequently, young Rath Vibol found himself placed in a modest, underfunded orphanage in the historic city of Battambang. If destiny had not intervened in the most unexpected way, his future would have likely mirrored that of thousands of other forgotten children of the era, defined by a quiet struggle for basic survival. But the invisible threads of fate were already at work. In 2001, Angelina Jolie arrived in Cambodia to film the blockbuster movie Lara Croft: Tomb Raider. The country's raw beauty, combined with the profound resilience of its people, struck a deep chord within her. Returning later as a humanitarian worker, she visited the Battambang orphanage. It was there that her path crossed with the 7-month-old baby. While many of the infants wept or shrank back from the unfamiliar visitors, this particular baby boy looked up into Jolie's eyes and offered a warm, radiant smile instead of crying. That instant, unexplainable connection sparked a life-changing bond. Jolie knew immediately that she was looking at her son. She initiated the adoption process, choosing the name Maddox Jolie-Pitt, a name that carries Celtic roots meaning the fortunate son. A fitting title for a boy whose life had just been rewritten by destiny. However, bringing Maddox home to the United States was anything but simple. The adoption process took place during a highly turbulent period. The United States government had temporarily suspended adoptions from Cambodia due to rising concerns over child trafficking and unethical practices within the Cambodian system. Jolie found herself under intense international scrutiny, facing fierce skepticism from critics who questioned her ability to raise a child amidst her chaotic, unconventional lifestyle. Navigating the dense legal and bureaucratic hurdles entirely as a single mother, Jolie fought tirelessly to prove her devotion. Her unwavering dedication eventually paid off, and she was granted legal custody. For the first few years of his life, Maddox was the center of Jolie's universe, accompanying her to remote refugee camps and humanitarian missions worldwide. The narrative changed dramatically a few years later when Hollywood superstar Brad Pitt entered the picture. As his relationship with Jolie blossomed, Pitt embraced the young boy as his own. In early 2006, a court formally approved Pitt's request to legally adopt Maddox, officially changing his surname to Jolie-Pitt. Over the next decade, Maddox transitioned into the role of the eldest sibling in a rapidly growing family. With the subsequent adoptions of Pax and Zahara and the births of Shiloh, Knox, and Vivian, the Jolie-Pitt household transformed into a miniature global village. As the big brother, Maddox quickly adapted to an extraordinary jet-setting lifestyle. He learned to sleep on international flights, adapt to changing time zones, and find comfort in temporary homes ranging from French chateaux to New York penthouses, all while helping protect his younger brothers and sisters from the predatory lenses of the paparazzi. Throughout his childhood and adolescence, Maddox held an undeniably unique and sacred place in his mother's heart. Angelina Jolie frequently described him in interviews not merely as a son, but as her closest confidant, her rock, and her best friend. Because they had grown up together, Jolie maturing from a reckless youth into a dedicated humanitarian, and Maddox growing from an infant into a young man, their bond was exceptionally profound. He developed an early, sophisticated fascination with world history, literature, and linguistics, displaying a grounded, mature perspective that set him apart from the typical, self-absorbed children of Hollywood privilege. He took his responsibilities as the eldest brother with immense seriousness, serving as a protective shield for his siblings and maintaining a calm, stabilizing presence within a household that was constantly surrounded by chaos and intense public fascination. However, the idyllic facade of the world's most famous family fractured irreparably in September 2016. During a private flight from France to Los Angeles, a highly publicized, intense altercation occurred on board the aircraft. Reports emerged indicating that an argument had broken out between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and when a teenage Maddox stepped in to verbally defend his mother, the confrontation escalated dramatically. This single painful event served as the ultimate catalyst for Angelina Jolie filing for divorce days later, signaling the end of the Brangelina era. The subsequent legal battle over asset division and child custody became one of the most prolonged, bitter, and toxic divorces in Hollywood history. Amidst the mudslinging tabloid rumors and legal depositions, Maddox's relationship with his father became deeply strained and fractured. As he came of age and entered legal adulthood, Maddox made the conscious, deeply personal choice to completely distance himself from the toxic media circus and the familial conflict. Rather than engaging in public retaliation or capitalizing on the drama for attention, he chose the path of dignified silence, focusing his energy entirely on his academic future, his personal growth, and healing away from the spotlight. When the time came to take his next steps into adulthood, Maddox surprised the world once again. Instead of leveraging his unmatched family connections to secure an effortless, glamorous path into the entertainment industry, he prioritized the rigorous pursuit of higher education. In the autumn of 2019, he made the bold decision to move across the globe and enroll at Yonsei University in Seoul, South Korea, one of the country's most prestigious and highly competitive institutions. Choosing to major in biochemistry, a demanding field entirely unrelated to the arts, Maddox sought an environment where his achievements would be judged solely on his intellect, not his famous last name. He fully immersed himself in the local culture, spending hours mastering the complex Korean language and residing in standard university dormitories. He actively chose the mundane, hard-working life of an everyday college student over the hollow privileges of Hollywood stardom. Yet, despite his dedication to the sciences, Maddox has never truly abandoned his artistic roots or his deep-seated connection to his homeland. He has quietly contributed to the film industry behind the scenes, working closely as an executive producer alongside his mother on projects specifically designed to honor his Cambodian heritage. Most notably, he played a vital role in the production of the critically acclaimed film First They Killed My Father, a project that allowed him to deeply engage with the history of his birth country and give a voice to the survivors of the Cambodian genocide. Today, Maddox Jolie-Pitt stands as a highly respected, self-determined individual who has successfully navigated the psychological minefield of extreme celebrity culture. He has consciously bypassed the easy, glamorous traps of influencer fame, choosing instead a life anchored in intellect, creative integrity, and genuine familial loyalty. His journey is a powerful testament to resilience and individual agency. From a humble, uncertain beginning in an underfunded orphanage in Battambang to a poised, brilliant young man forging his own path across the continents, Maddox has proven a profound truth. Your origin story does not have to dictate your ultimate destination. It is not the fame of your parents, the wealth at your disposal, or the shadows of past family trauma that define you. Rather, it is the quiet choices you make in the absence of the cameras, the dedication to your own education, and the courage to stand on your own feet that truly define who you become.